This is Blade Rondo story and card reading. The sword slips from Sonya's hand and falls to the snow at her feet. Before she can do anything rash, you declare that her life is in your hands and persuade her to accompany you on your journey. As you ascend the slopes of Grand Fatos, you share what you have learned of the Order's machinations and convince Sonya to aid you in your quest. However, it soon becomes apparent that she and Maria are the bitterest of rivals. Time and again, you find yourself stepping between their drawn blades to stop the two from killing one another. Though the Order of the Rose was founded to ensure peace between humans and magicians, its current leader has warped it into an aggressive military force. Now it is little more than a tool for magicians to subjugate humans, forcing them to submit to a lifetime of servitude or die. You and your unlikely allies follow the mountain path ever upwards, passing through a shroud of mist before finally reaching the summit. From there, you look out over a winding ridge, at the end of which lies your destination, the headquarters of the Order of Rose. You reach the shrine to find it utterly, eerily silent. You pause for a moment to steel yourself, then boldly cross the threshold, ready to confront the source of evil threatening all humankind. You are a swordian, a human with the ability to use the skills and techniques used by characters of legends by manifesting them as swords. Answer the call of the swords. Let them sing out in battle. Alone or outnumbered, you fight undaunted. In the shadow of death, you stand unafraid, for you are a swordian, a sworn defender of the peace. Sword 81 Diva. Super Saber. Cost of 1. Physical. If your attack is 6 or less, the amount of damage dealt by this attack decreases by 1. If your attack is 7 or more, the amount of damage dealt by this attack increases by 1. The witches proclaimed her a new hero for a new era, and sacrificed her so she could usurp the seat of the founder of their order. Sword 82, Lislina. Glistening Gladius. Cost of 2, physical attack, secondary. You gain the following bonded effect, luminescent. When either player takes damage, you may discard this card to increase or decrease the amount of damage taken by 1. Following the guiding light cast by her blade, Wayfounder, the brave fairy, descended the mountain to the clash with the evils of the world of men. Sword 83, Aaron and Roddy. Stinging Stake, cost of 2, physical attack. Secondary. If honed, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. Honed, this card gains a limited time action. After lying in wait for 3 days and 3 nights, the hunter saw her chance. She leapt from her hiding place and brought down the feral bear with a single well-placed strike. Sword 84, Frisia. Fluttering Falcon, cost of 2, physical attack, secondary. After resolving this attack, you may perform the following action for a cost of 2. Emergence, magical attack of 4. Tribute, you take 4 damage. Those who seek release from the suffering of the world will find her waiting in a field of flowers. There, in the light of the crescent moon, she grants them that which they desire, the sweet embrace of death. Sword 85, Veronica. Limited time, cost of 2, Ambient Aetherage. Physical attack. After resolving this attack, you may pay 2 costs to use this card again. Hone, pay cost of 1. Your opponent cannot respond to this attack. Hone, pay cost of 5. This attack ignores your opponent's defense. Once she was known as the Hero of Mercy, for she never took a life. Then she bore the witness to the atrocities humans committed against magicians, and her faith in humanity was shattered. Sword 86, Veronica, Bellowing Barge. Cost of 3, physical attack. Secondary, your opponent takes 2 damage. Leading her flock of 1,001 sheep, the shepherd had but one goal, the total liberation of the island's woody livestock. It never crossed her mind that doing so would bring peace to the island and ensure a bountiful harvest. Sword 87, Mildred. Limited time, cost of 3, consecrated crossblade. Physical attack. Secondary, you gain X life. X is equal to the amount of damage dealt by this attack. Filled with a profound respect for the beauty of the grand cathedral, the vampire entered into the service of the church, where she was deemed worthy to wield a divine blade with the power to strike down evil. Sword 88, Casmia. Bashing Billhook, limited time, cost of 3, physical attack. Secondary, your opponent gains the following bonded effect. Dual Ache. At the beginning of your turn, pay 1 cost and to discard this card. The violent orphan was sent off to the abbey, but it soon became clear that she was too much for the nuns to handle. Even their most potent herbs failed to cool her explosive temper. Sword 89, Urza Scarlet, equipped into Blade Rondo, Scorching Steel, limited time, cost of 4, physical attack. Before resolving this attack, your attack increases by 1. When her tribal nation was conquered, she was made to fight in the arena for the amusement of her new masters. Yet in combat she flourished and grew strong. Soon after she was crowned champion, she led her fellow gladiators in an uprising. Sword 90, Zandros, Fittered Fist. Cost of 5, physical attack. The amount of damage dealt by this attack increases by 3. If you have 0 cards in your hand after playing this card, the amount of damage dealt by this attack increases by 6 instead. Though the transformation had stripped him of his looks and rendered him unable to perform his duties, the servant remained bound by his love for a woman above his station. Sword 91, Natalie. Limited time, cost of 1, Beyond the Rainbow. Somewhere beyond the rainbow. I wonder if she could taste it. Anyway, perform one of the following actions. Physical attack, Red Saga. Blue Fairy Tale, magical attack of 2. Assist, Green Lyric. You gain 2 life. From the spurs of her castle, the Rainbow Queen looked out on her flourishing kingdom before turning her gaze skyward to face the darkness that would soon swallow all. Sword 92, Sylphie. No Descent to the Divine, cost of 9, special. Perform one of the following actions. Your opponent cannot respond to this chosen attack. Physical attack, Wrath of the Almighty. Resolve this attack as if your attack were tripled. Annihilation, magical attack of 9. Long ago, an archangel descended from on high to instruct humanity in the ways of worship. In doing so, she set them on a path to stagnation. Sword 93, Safilti, Willing Fugue. Limited time, cost of 2, assist. You gain 2 life and the following bonded effect. Ambrosia Peach. When you or one of your familiars deals 4 or more damage to your opponent, discard this card and gain 3 life. Beside the wellspring where all the flowing waters converge. The water goddess tends to her orchard, growing fruit brimming with a powerful, luminous energy. Sword 94, Virginie, sprouting serenade. Jeez Louise. Limited time, cost of 3. Your attack becomes X plus -1 if you went first, or X if you went second. X is equal to your voltage. So infatuated with herself was she that when a fellow student confessed their love for her, she struck them down in a violent rage. Makes me think of that god that saw himself in the water and totally became obsessed with himself. You know what I'm talking about. Sword 95. Nesticore. Dreaming Sulfurage. Limited time. Cost of 3. Summon Nesticore. While this card is in your set area, your physical attack becomes magical attack of 2 with a defense of 2. By order of the Undying Witch, the serpent demigod journeyed to the forest of longing to muddy the boundary between the real world and the world of dreams. Sword 96, Rijika, commanding area. Limited time, cost of 5, summon Rijika. At the beginning of your turn, perform the following actions. Dominating Ruin, magical attack of 2, defense of 4. Faced with an impossible love, the merchant's daughter realized that salvation lay not at the bottom of a bottle, nor in the moonlight escape, but in the strength to move forward and do what was necessary. Sword 97, Lalafina, Mirrored Helidor, limited time, cost of 1, Gambit. Responds to physical and magical. The amount of damage dealt by this attack decreases by 1. If your opponent, not one of their familiars, was the attacker, they discard the card at the end of the attack. The self-proclaimed songstress sank into the mere of avarice and vanity just before her eyes without ever having basked in the applause of an unraptured audience. Sword 98, Nori. Barrier Spinel. Limited time, cost of 1. Gambit responds to physical and magical. Negate the attack. Your defense decreases by 1. With no place to run, the Ebon Rich called her ravens to her side. There within the wings of her minions, she scaled herself in a world of her own. Sealed herself in a world of her own creation, cut off from the force governing the one she left behind. Sword 99, Agatha. Tarnished Morganite. Limited time, cost of 1. Gambit responds to physical and magical. Your opponent's attack, as well as that of their familiars, decreases by 2 until the end of the turn. The Wicked Witch extended her right hand and invoked its accursed power. The effect was immediate. The prince could do naught but stare as his enchanted sword was reduced to a crumbling length of rust and eaten steel. Sword 100, Daphne. Impeding Jade. Limited time, cost of 1. Responds to physical and magical. Decrease all damage you take by 1 until the end of the turn. Your opponent takes 1 damage each time they resolve an attack this turn. Fearing yet another betrayal, the despondent prince sealed herself within a sea of thorns from which even the prince, despite his most valiant efforts, was unable to rescue her. Reality's imperfections are ours to control. The Eternal Swords. Carvings depicting the history of the Order of the Rose adorn the corridor wall, an unalterable record of a past carefully shaped by the hands of magicians. Negotiating the tangle of passageways, you stumble into a chamber where a number of muses await. Judging you to be intruders, they move to attack. Fortunately, you don't have to take them all on alone, as Maria and Sonya are with you. In the midst of the fighting, however, you are separated from your allies. The penultimate battle, the final battle. Your long journey is finally nearing its end. Choose your cards wisely. You won't have another chance to alter your hand. The fated battle against Veronica draws near. Will you be able to overcome her strongest magic, the law of the immortal? The key to unraveling her power lies in the past. Think back to the beginning of your journey, the foes you faced when trapped in the world of muses. The fate of humanity rests on your shoulders. Muse 41, Diva. Attack 0, Defense 3, The Celestial Construct. Initiative 1. I will lead humanity from the shadows of the past and onto a bright new future. This is what I was made for. She enkindles twice. The muse's attack increases by 1. And then Spirit's Saber, physical attack. If the muse's attack is 6 or less, the amount of damage dealt by this attack decreases by 1. If the muse's attack is 7 or more, the amount of damage dealt by this attack increases by 1. She has an Undying Legend, passive, responds to magic and physical. If the muse's life falls to 0, it revives with 2 lives and loses the ability until the end of the turn. Match. Muse 42, Nesticor, the Entrancing Fairy Woman. Initiative 3, attack 0, defense 3. The scattered stars are a record of our reunion. Come back to me, and we shall spend the night in luxury, free of sorrows. She uses a magical attack called Fracture, limited time, magical attack of 2, secondary, discard 1 card from your hand. Sacrament, magical attack of 2, secondary, the muse gains X life. X is equal to the amount of damage dealt by this attack. Snake Bite, magical attack of 2. Muse 43, Savalti, the Lady of the Secret Spring. Initiative 2, attack 3, defense 0. These waters are bereft of memory. They have no stories to tell. They simply are as they always will be. Devotion. The muse's attack and defense increases by 1. Ripple, physical attack, secondary. If you take 4 or more damage from this attack, the muse gains 3 life. Muse 44, Natalie, the Rainbow Demise. Initiative 3, attack 5, defense 2. There is nowhere I can run, nothing I can do to avert my fate. For once the death of a ruler has been foretold, there is no hope for salvation. Red Saga, physical attack. Blue Fairy Tale, magical attack 2. Green Lyric, the muse gains 2 life. Purple Anathema, passive, responds to magical and physical. If you have performed an odd number of attacks this turn, negate the attack. Muse 45, Daphne, the Solitary Princess. She doesn't have an initiative. 0 attack, 3 defense. You're too late. My broken heart will not be fooled again. I don't want to be saved. Piercing Rain of Tears, passive. At the beginning of your turn, lose 2 life. Choking Sea of Thorns, passive. Response to physical and magical. The amount of damage dealt by the attack decreases by 1. You take 1 damage. We Fight for Honor. Maria 2. Even so it says FR01. I don't know what the FR stands for. Maria. Blazing Blade Maria. Let's dance. Come follow my lead. At the beginning of your turn, if your attack is 3 or more, perform the following action. Resolve this attack as if Maria had an attack of 4. Swift Strike, physical attack. At the beginning of your turn, if your attack is 6 or more, perform the following action. Resolve this attack as if Maria had an attack of 8. Full Force. Passive response. If you take damage that would reduce your life to 0, remove Maria from the game and take 0 damage instead. Sonya number 2. Frostburst Flash Sonya. So long as one of us still stands, we will put an end to this. At the beginning of your turn, if your defense is 3 or more, perform the following action. Glacial Gale, magical attack of 1. At the beginning of your turn, if your defense is 6 or more, perform the following action. Diamond Dust, magical attack of 2. Passive response. If you take damage that would reduce your life to 0, remove Sonya from the game and take 0 damage instead. Now these girls are your partners and they will sacrifice themselves for you. That which cannot be spoken cannot be known. Naughty the Forsaken. Limited time assist for Veronica. Summon Naughty. At the beginning of your Veronica's turn, perform the following action 3 times. Marinate Advance. Physical attack. Before resolving this attack, Naughty attack increases by 1 until the end of the turn. Her attack is 0. Veronica 2. Heddling the Unrepentant. Limited time. Summon Heddling. Attack 3. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Defensive 1. Shattering Spear. Physical attack. Secondary. Your defense decreases by 1. Veronica 3. Chevron the Futureless and Shade the Cowardly. Limited time assist. Summon those 2. X attack. Defense 2. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Interior Thrust. Physical X is equal to Veronica's attack. That which cannot be known cannot exist. Veronica's assist number 4. Casmia the Irreconcilable. Limited time at the beginning, or attack 4, defense 2. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Battering Billhook. Physical attack secondary. Take your next turn as if your voltage were decreased by 1. Veronica assist number 5. Ramonica the Foolish. Limited time. Summon her. Attack 4, defense 3. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Brash Barching. Physical attack. Secondary. You take 2 damage. Veronica 6. Omi the Nadar of Ignorance. Limited time. Summon her with an attack of 5 and defense of 4. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Black Blade. Physical attack. You cannot respond to this card. Attack. This world is no exception. Veronica 7. Brooch the Unrequited. Limited time. Attack. Summon her with an attack of 8 and defense of 4. The Blunted Bludgeon. Physical attack. Veronica's number 8. Mildred the Shadow Dweller. Limited time. Summon her with an attack of 7 and defense of 5. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Bloodthirsty Blade. Physical attack. Secondary. Veronica gains X life. X is equal to the amount of damage dealt by this attack. Veronica number 9. Daisy, quite contrary, the Parasite. Limited time. Summon her with an attack of 6 and defense of 6. At the beginning of Veronica's turn, perform the following action. Covetous Claymore. Physical attack. Secondary. Choose 3 cards from your hand and shuffle them face down. Choose 1 at random and discard it. Return the remaining cards to your hand. Something calls to you from the darkness as you delve deeper into the shrine. So, it's an inspiration then. The speaker is revealed to be a cat locked inside a cage. A witch's familiar, perhaps. You draw your swords and demand it tell you where the order's leader is. The cat simply purrs. After, I'm afraid you've got it all wrong. If you wish to put an end to the Order's plans, it is Veronica you must defeat. Our leader is no more than a puppet, a useful pawn for drawing up plans and exerting political power. Quite pathetic, really. The feline goes on to reveal Veronica's whereabouts. Arlita's power could also further your own goals. Use it as you see fit, if you succeed, that is. You ask the cat why you should believe such a convenient story. What choice do you have? And in any case, I am unable to tell a lie. Ah, but it seems we are out of time. With that, the cat sets about grooming itself. Any further questions you pose are met with silence. You have no choice but to hurry onwards. Cutting a path through any foes who stand in your way, the three of you gather before a conspicuously large door. It creaks in protest as you push it open, revealing an imposing altar. The walls and ceilings of the room are covered with countless carvings of angels and devils. This world is story penned by dead, a story that should not exist, created from nothing, heard by no one. You cast your gaze about the room, searching for the source of the familiar voice. A moth alights on a lantern hanging from the ceiling, where it lingers a moment too long. The insect falls to the floor, its meaningless life consumed by flame. None will mourn its passing. A web of legends, such each strand intertwined with a woven within others. The conqueror's sword tears open the border separating dream from reality. The slumbering dragon coils inwards, developing everything ever deeper into its dreams. A woman's shadow stretches across the floor, dancing from wall to wall, yet there is no body to cast such a shadow. You move to stand back to back with Maria and Sonya. That which cannot be spoken cannot be known. That which cannot be known cannot exist. This world is just another story. It is no exception, and none shall escape. With those words, a woman materializes in the air above the altar. Veronica, had you not known that she would be here, you wouldn't have recognized her. She has been transformed into a vision of unparalleled beauty. Such is her radiance that you find it impossible to look upon her directly, to even attempt to assess her splendor would be an affront to the idea of beauty itself, for beside her the most precious of gems would stem a dull worthless. Veronica, as she appears before you now, has become nothing less than a goddess in all her glory. Once the magicians are despised and feared, branded less than human, isolated and persecuted, and for what? The goddess clutches a single book to her chest, a volume whose passages describe a world called forth from the dreams of a dragon. For in a crime of being born with their powers, the accursed past ought never to have been. So it shall be erased, and humanity absolved of its sins. It will be as though their kind had never existed. The goddess strokes the book's spine, and your vision splinters, fractures, passages with the power to change the world spring forth and lunge towards you. Steady your breath, draw your sword, the fatal battle is at hand. Veronica, final chapter. This is how your story ends, here by my hands, in tragedy. Breath of ignorance. Veronica's attack increases by 1. Hill of Golden Heroes, Lament, Initiative 1. This is where you summon in Chapter 1. Shrine of the Angel and Demon, Initiative 3. This is where you summon in Chapter 2. Garden of the Usurp Rose, Initiative 5. This is where you summon in Chapter 3. All of them are limited time cards. Last page, passive. If Veronica's life falls to 0, she revives with 15 life. Change Veronica's defense to be the same as her voltage, then flip over this card. Veronica The End. Soon you shall depart for the sea of discard passages, beyond the constraints of your mortal existence. Dusk sigh. If Veronica's voltage is an odd number, her attack increases by 1. Twinkling palm of the giant god, physical attack. Compelled chorus of death, magical attack of 3. Law of the divine, passive, responds to magical and physical. The amount of damage dealt by the attack decreases by 1. Law of the immortal, passive, responds to physical and magical. If Veronica's life falls to 0, she revives with 2 life and loses the ability until the end of the turn. Inside the hearth, a log crackles and pops. The warmth of the fire fills the room, keeping the season's chill at bay. Now then, children, what story would you like to hear? A calm, motherly woman sits before a group of children. Excited by the question, the children begin talking all at once. Tell us about the showdown between Zelfel and Zorfrid. I want to hear the story about the kindly witch sisters. Some of the children are magicians, others are not. Quietly, one of the smaller children voices a request. The other children immediately stop arguing and shout their agreement. The woman smiles. That would be a wonderful idea. This is the story of a hero. I'm sure you've all heard of the story of the swordian who mended the relationship between humans and magicians and was said to have been the reincarnation of Cremere. It begins with a child, no older than any of you, knocking on the gate of the Order of the Rose. Speaking slowly and deliberately, the woman begins her tale. A long time ago, people with the power to use magic began appearing among humans. These people, who become known as magicians, were feared by other humans because of their powers. Fear gave way to hatred, and humans began to pursue and kill magicians. Despising humans for their cruelty, a magician named Veronica sought out the elder devil of the 77 teachings, and in exchange for her soul after death, learned the secret art of resurrection, an art she would use to exact eternal vengeance on all humankind. For generations, magicians endured persecution at humans' hands, even as they continued honing their magical powers. Then, without warning, the magicians rose up against their oppressors, declaring that their kind had transcended humanity. Having turned the tables, magicians began hunting, torturing, and enslaving humans. However, there was one who looked on with horror at the brutality of her fellow magicians. Her name was Cremere, later known as the First Blade. Cremere created the way of the sword, an art equal in might to the powers wielded by magicians, and entrusted it to the humans. Using this art, humans were able to hold their own against the magicians, yet the magicians held their ground. With neither side able to destroy the other, the conflict lapsed into a stalemate. Seeing that there would be no resolution through further bloodshed, both parties agreed to lay down their arms and met in the garden filled with blooming roses to negotiate a peace. To ensure mutual prosperity and maintain the newfound peace, the Order of the Rose was established, taking its name from the flowers that bore witness to the end of the generations-long conflict. Practitioners of Cremer's art who served the order became known as swordians, peacekeepers tasked with resolving disputes all across the world. Having healed the rift between humans and magicians, Cremere passed from this world, confident that the order would carry on her legacy of peace. Veronica, now known as the Undying Witch, was welcomed into the order. Who can say what she felt as she set foot in the organization of peace when she alone remembered the suffering magicians once endured at the hands of humans? Working in the shadows, Veronica reshaped the order as she saw fit. It began with the assassination of its leader, a kind soul respected by humans and magicians alike. A new leader was chosen and quickly established a ruling council in which every seat was filled by magicians. The magicians began to twist the authority of the order to suit their purposes, and soon proclaimed themselves lords of the rulers of humanity. Veronica's branded every Swordian with the crest of the rose, a curse that robbed them of their will and transformed them into mindless puppets. Years passed, the seasons came and went. Then one fateful day, a human child showed up at the gate of the Order of the Rose, received the crest of the rose from Veronica. Though the order was now a shadow of its former self, the child still believed in the ideals of the order had once stood for. The child grew and in time learned the truth. Overcoming the brand's curse, the young Swordian turned their blade on Veronica. Over and over the witch fell before the Swordian's blade, yet each time she rose again, and the battle began anew. But in the end the Swordian triumphed, striking a blow that pierced Veronica's heart before she could invoke the law of the mortal. Veronica's eternal vengeance died with her, and it is said that the peace that followed lasted until the end of time. The Muses will be with you always. Within every ending lies a new beginning. So sound the bell of awakening and let the tale begin anew. That concludes the reading of Blade Rondo Lost Dream.